Brian Hoyer, Josh McCown, Scott Tolzien, Tom Savage, and no, these aren't the members of a new boy band that's about to make it to the Final Four of America's Got Talent. These are real men who started at quarterback in the NFL last Sunday. And we were this close to getting a guy named Nathan Peterman to start for the Bills. My guess is 95% of football fans outside of the University of Pittsburgh have never heard of him. I know I hadn't before this past weekend. You know, for being the league that's supposed to harbor the most elite athletes football has to offer, there sure seems to be a lack of elite talent at the quarterback position. See, when I think of the top gunslingers in the National Football League, I think of guys like Brady, Rodgers, Breeze, and there are many fans who can make a case for Russell Wilson or Eli Manning to be mentioned in the upper echelon of signal callers, or even Andrew Luck, if he can ever stay healthy. But outside of this core group, there's a small drop-off that continues to get steeper and steeper and steeper, and then you get to Scott Tolzien's level. So it begs the question, where are all the elite quarterbacks? What should constitute when a football player is ready to go to the NFL? The current eligibility rules state that a player must be 3 years removed from high school, or said player has to use all of their college eligibility. But is this fair for the elite college football players? In virtually every other sport, if a player is good enough, they can jump right from high school to the professional ranks. Baseball, hockey, soccer, golf, you name it. And in the case of basketball, yes, you have to be 1 year removed from high school, but players can go overseas and play professionally for a year if that suits them best. So why does it take so long to make it to the National Football League? And that's a topic of conversation for this week's episode of The Toss-Up. And we introduce the panel, and we have a couple of new-looking guys over here. On my right, we have Ben Wittenstein taking a break from his radio duties. Yeah, sports director for WIUX, so glad that you can do some television stuff with us. Thank you for having me. And then Austin Matricardi, usually behind the scenes working on the show, but it's good that you're here.
Yep.
We appreciate
it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
It should be good. So, guys, let's just get right into it. Austin. Well, a new college basketball season is upon us, which means it's time to preview the upcoming year for the Indiana Hoosiers. Now, this season's going to have a different feeling as we approach the season opener because, I don't want to spoil anything for all you Hoosier fans, Indiana has a new, young, defensive-minded, mean-mugged, fearless leader in Archie Miller. The 39-year-old former Dayton head coach has drawn much praise both on and off the court since his arrival in Bloomington this past March. And now he's going to take a look at all that hard work that he's put in the offseason and translate it into on-court production. But before tip-off is commenced in Assembly Hall versus Indiana State, there are many questions that still need answers. How different will the offense look from years past? Who's going to get the ball with 10 seconds left and IU's down by 1? Will De'Ron Davis break out like we all expect him to? We hope to answer these questions and much more on today's show. Now, Jordan, that's a bold prediction. This team goes where Josh Newkirk takes it. I like it. I like bold like that, though.
I don't know if I would trust in that too much.
But I think we're all in consensus with that. You know, it's going to be a slow start, and you know that's what it might be, and that's what it is going to be. You just have to be patient with the team because eventually it's all going to come together. They're going to make mistakes early on in these games. They're going to turn the ball over. They might not make their shots, and they might collapse on defense, but that's fine because I'd rather see them make these mistakes early on so they can fix it going throughout the season. And also, they're building for the future. It's not all about this year. We don't know what to expect out of the team. So just RELAX, relax.
Yeah, and with Terry Moore at the helm, the Hoosiers are looking for a second consecutive trip to the Big Dance. Our Lydia Knoll was in Assembly Hall for the Thursday night match against Michigan. And going into the game against Michigan, the Hoosiers' record stood at 7-5 in conference play. They took on Northwestern this past weekend and got off to a strong start, holding the Wildcats to just 6 first-quarter points. Indiana took advantage of Northwestern's defensive errors, scoring 16 points off of turnovers, and they even crashed the offensive glass as well, putting in 19 second-chance points. Hello, everyone. We are live from inside the Cuban Center, inside Simon Skjodt Assembly Hall. I'm Griffin Weinberg. He's Eddie Cotton. This is the Big Ten Student U pregame show. We're about 15 minutes away from the start of IU field hockey, getting ready to host the Ohio Bobcats. Now, it's going to be the first home game for the Indiana Hoosiers in nearly 3 weeks as they just got done with a 5-game road stretch. But before we talk about today's matchup against OU, Eddie, let's talk a little bit about that 5-game road swing. Yeah, this team's going to need to score a lot of goals without Elle Hem. She was the team's assist leader when she went down. But Maddie Latino is going to be the one to watch today. Leads the team with 9 goals on the year. That's good enough to put her in top 5 in program history in terms of points and total goals. But we have a lot to talk about. And let's go over to the stadium that's next to the IU Field Hockey Complex because the Indiana men's soccer team is #1 in the nation. Numero uno. You think I should say it again, or did they get the message?
You should say it one more time.
They're the #1 team in the nation. If you're not paying attention to the IU men's soccer team, you're just delusional. It's absolutely insane because this team has a chance to go on to win the national championship. And for a little bit of perspective on how the season's going, here's Courtney Robb. Yeah, see, I'm looking forward to that Notre Dame matchup because that could be number 1 versus number 2 in the country. So why not go out? Indiana's going to win 5-0 tonight. Set up that big matchup for next Tuesday because that is going to be one of the best soccer matches of the season. All right, so if you're not already headed up to Bill Armstrong Stadium, head over to btn2go.com to listen to the soothing voices of Eddie Cotton, Pat White, and Julia Briano. For Austin Matricardi, I'm Griffin Weinberg. Thank you for tuning into the pregame show today. Go watch some men's soccer.
Yeah, with all the rain coming down, you already know that the balls are going to be moving slow. It might be a little bit hard to get the ball up in the air, too, so I'm curious to see how that plays out. The wind coming in, that's just going to be brutal for the players down there. It's going to get a little bit chilly, too. They got to be wearing their long sleeves.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we know the Hoosiers right now, they're riding a 3-game win streak. They're going to try to make it 4 today in a few minutes when they get ready to face off against Miami. But before we dive into today's match, let's survey the early portion of the season.
Yeah,
it's just really big start to the season for the Hoosiers. Having 3 straight matches against top 25 teams. I don't know what Coach Janney was thinking about doing that, but it's really just making the team stronger because during this 3-game win streak, they're outscoring their opponents 9-4. And you really only think that's going to get better for them, especially next week they go off against number 6 Maryland.
Yeah, Coach Janney.
Yeah, that was a really fun game to watch. Whenever you got a top 10 matchup like that, you have to tune in. And really, the Hoosiers controlled most of the game. They had 6 shots on goal. Maryland didn't have any, but it was Dane St. Clair, the goalie for Maryland, that was really causing havoc for Indiana. Yeah, Dane St. Clair is like Odell Beckham III. He even had the hair. He was reaching out, making the one-handed saves. The guy's an athlete.
Yeah, I don't think that this defense is getting the real credit that they deserve. I mean, they handled Penn State pretty nicely. They shut down Saquon Barkley. This is a really top-notch defense, and what Tom Allen has been able to do with them, it's fantastic, especially with guys like T. Gray Scales, Rashard Fant. They're really just not getting the respect that they deserve. But as we inch closer to the beginning of the IU-Ohio field hockey match, let's give a little bit of our thoughts today. Just for note, this is going to be the last game in non-conference play for the Indiana Hoosiers. They've won 3 straight against the Bobcats. Last year, they met in Athens, and they won 3-2 in overtime, thanks to a hat trick from former All-American Kate Barber. Eddie, what's going to happen today?
I'm expecting Indiana to come out there and kind of respond after this past couple of weeks that have been rough. This is a better opponent for them. They're back at home. They're feeling comfortable. I'm feeling 5-2 win.
Ooh, 5-2?
5-2.
Bold. I like bold, though. Bold's kind of good. I think today I'm going to go a little bit more conservative with the win. I think it's going to be a 2-1 victory for the Hoosiers, but they're going to take care of business during regular time. No overtime needed today. Indiana's going to get back on track. Forget about that 5-game losing streak. So, if you haven't already done so, head over to btn2go.com. Listen to the beautiful voice of Zampiarli as he has the call today. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. We'll see you next week.